though it has been ages since we last saw all the girls together with all their little cubs. Well, I suppose you can't say little anymore, as the Nkuhumas, the cubs, have almost tripled in size. But like I said, I'm happy to report that all 5 lionesses are here, and of course all 6 cubs are. And the one on the far left you can see fast asleep. That is my favorite little lioness in the whole world. But she seems to be hot, panting away, enjoying an afternoon siesta, as of course the cats do. Now, you can still see she's still got a bit of mange on her. It hasn't cleared entirely, especially around her elbows. You can see she's very patchy. You can see the hair doesn't look too healthy. And then also if you go up towards her ears, you can see, look at that she has got mange. But I think that these lions are such fighters that they should be all right. The others are looking okay. A little bit scruffy. And of course, the skin showing on the back of their legs. You see, there you go. That's actually really nice. You can see how the mite has eaten away at the hair follicles and then left, of course, no hair at all. And it creates that patchy sort of skin, but it doesn't look horrendous. I mean, they don't look anywhere near like the Styx cubs did. So I think that they should be okay. And you can notice the big fat belly, of course, on this lion cub, and that's because they did catch a buffalo. And that's in the distance, underneath a tree, well, they were trying to make an attempt at hiding it from the vultures, but I did spot a couple of vultures that were sitting in the tree, but they unfortunately flew away when we arrived. You can see one of the cubs still suckling. And we're going to get to the point, though, where they're going to finish up, because the older set of cubs are about 7 months old now. And then, of course, the middle group, 6 months, and little floppy ear, who is only 5 months old. Now, Mike, you were saying that you didn't think you'd see all 6 cubs still here just a month ago, and I have to agree with you. It got very, very scary, especially just before I went on leave when we had the bouts of white mussel disease come through. But I honestly think that that's the end of the white mussel disease. It was only because there was very poor nutrients in the grass and the buffalo weren't able to get enough vitamin E into their bodies and vitamin A and all sorts of other goodies. And of course then that, well, unfortunately was a negative impact, of course, on these lions. But now you can see all the lovely green grass that has come through with the rain that we've had. And like I said in the beginning of the show, these animals recover very, very quickly. And we did see some buffalo the same afternoon when we had shadow. And you could see even them, barring one buffalo, how they'd improved, how they'd fattened up again. And that can only mean good for our favorite pride, the Inkahumas. I still can't believe that they're suckling, though, especially these older cubs. They're very cheeky. And I hope they stay cheeky. They need to stay the cheekiest cubs in the Sabi sand. But I'm sure you must be so happy that you're having a look at all of them. Now, you're probably only thinking that you can only count 4 lionesses. It's because there's one lioness she's lying off into the distance. She's the clever one. She's lying in the shade. You can sort of just see her there, very well camouflaged. But they are indeed all here. Now, Jen B, you just said I should have a look at the end of Floppy Ear's tail. I shouldn't be laughing, but that is so funny. And you're quite right. Look at it. She's lost all the hair to the tip of her tail. That's actually quite amazing to see. Normally we never see the tip of the tail like that. It's always covered in hair. Don't you think it looks like the plant baboon's tail? Now, Tina, you're wondering if the hair is going to grow back on the end of that tail. I think once she recovers, if she does recover, but you know me, I'm very optimistic about my favorite little girl. So I reckon when she does recover, I think it will grow back, but it might take some time. Even with the others that have got the damage around sort of the elbows and things, I think it will take a couple of months for that hair to grow back, maybe even a little bit longer. But they should beat it. I mean, the adults are looking very, very healthy, full bellies. They're looking absolutely lovely. And I'm really excited to have a look and see our youngest lioness. I wonder if this is her. Vian, do you think this is her? She's got a very pink nose, so it could be the youngest lioness of the pride. Maybe it is. We'll have to wait until one of them decides to open their eyes, of course, so we can tell the difference between amber eyes and the young girl. And she was one of my favorites when I first arrived here and was introduced to the Nkuhuma Pride. Just because she was such a keen huntress. She was always the first one to go into stalking mode. Remember, we had that incredible sighting of her chasing around that big giraffe bull. That was really entertaining. And I'm still waiting for the day that the Nkuhumas take down a fully grown giraffe. I reckon with all the girls that are now in this pride, and hopefully these young cubs do make it to adulthood, I think that it would be a very, very strong pride. See, this little cub is looking good. Very nice coat. Not too much damage from the mange. Ears look good. Not too many ticks either. Obviously doing a good job at grooming a couple though. But that's to be expected when you're a young cub, because you don't quite do a very good job at grooming. You're a little bit inexperienced, and I think a little bit lazy as well. But when there's something stuck between your toes, there's nothing more frustrating. So it's important that you put enough effort in to get it out. And this is definitely the case. Well, we're going to hang around for a little bit longer and see what these Nkuhumas get up to. But for the moment, they're just having a siesta. So while they do this, let's shoot back across to Brent. And, well, I don't even know where Brent is. Brent, I can't see why you wouldn't want to eat any of Rexon's dust because, well, dust is just so tasty and, of course, so delicious. Now, we're still with the Inkahumas, and not much has changed, unfortunately. They're still sleeping, and we've just changed an angle to get a bit of shade ourselves. And, well, we're happy to sit here for a little bit longer until there are many more guides coming to the sighting, and then, we'll have to head on out. But for the moment, we've got it all to ourselves, so we will just take a deep breath and enjoy the beautiful nature and these cubs. VM, I don't know if I like it here. Can you see that big paddy over there? Now, sadly, that is not buffalo dung. That is, of course, lion feces, and you can see all the flies racing to it because it's the most delicious thing that they have tasted all day long. It is like a buffet. But we're getting a few little whiffs every now and then. But we'll try not to smell it for too much longer. And it seems as though we are downwind again of the lions, so let's hope that they don't, create any more wind than we've got this afternoon. Now remember, we are on a live safari, and I'd love to hear from you. And if you have just started watching for the first time and you don't know too much about the Nkuhumas, well, you're welcome to ask me. And you can do so by hashtagging Safari Live, or you can send any questions through to questions@WildEarth.tv. Now, I must tell you, though, the people that know more about the Nkuhumas than I do, of course, are the loyal viewers that we've had over the many, many years. So they always help me out. So you'll hear me asking them questions every now and then, and it's nice. I love the fact that we can all help each other. but it is a real cat pile at the moment. I can't believe that they've all snuggled up like this on such a hot day. And here comes another vehicle entering the sighting. And we're one step closer, of course, to getting the Nkuhumas back onto Djuma, where they belong, where their territory is strong within that property. Because if they hang around on Arathusa for too long, they might run the risk of running into the Tsalalas. Even though the Tsalalas will be well outnumbered with the two, well, no, not really. They've got 3 young males. But of course, they don't have any cubs. And we know what these lionesses are like and what they will do to protect their cubs from anybody else. So I'd be a little bit nervous to try and challenge these ladies. Now we're looking at these big tummies, and maybe this is a good opportunity to have a look. Now, Leandri, you were wondering how many of these lion cubs are males and how many are females. Now, the last time that I checked, I could only find 1 male. And I did see him. I can't really see. Is that him there on the right? A little bit further. That looks like it's a male with a big belly. Let's go. And then I can see a little girl. I can see another little girl. It's a bit hard to tell, but I reckon that most of these cubs are all females, and I've definitely only seen 1 male. But every time since I've been back at work and I've tried to have a look at them, unfortunately they were covering up, so we couldn't see their bits that make them either male or female. You can see very clearly now that that's a little boy. And it will get much easier, though, as they get older, especially if they're boys, because you're going to start to see their chests getting quite hairy. The hair is going to grow longer and on the side of their faces. And, well, I can tell you for sure that that little one is definitely not a boy. Is that a... No, that's a little girl. Looks like a little girl too. We'll have to see. Most of these look like girls, barring the one. But there is one little cub that, unfortunately, I can't see because it's still cuddled up near Mom over there, hiding behind the bushes. So I'm going to go with 5 girls and 1 boy, but I stand under correction. Maybe some of you have got some good screenshots, and since I was on holiday and since I've come back, I think I've only seen them once or twice, and they've been lying in the thicker vegetation. So maybe you've had a look with either Jamie or Brent or James or even Byron, and you were able to get a better idea at the sexes of the cubs, especially now that we unfortunately have lost 2. You can see my little flip-flop is flapping those ears. There's obviously some insects that are biting her. Keep flapping. Maybe there's some ants or something. I mean, that's always a possibility. The lions never really look where they plonk themselves down. And that seems to be something that lions like to do quite often, is plonk themselves over after they've stood up. So maybe she's sitting on an ant's nest. Now, if we have a look at their beautiful little feet, you'll notice, because I don't think noticed with a D is a word, that you can't see their claws. Now, Debbie from Arizona was wondering if they shed their claws and pull them off like a house cat does, and you're quite right, they do indeed. Scratching is a very important part of a lion's sort of daily activities. They'll go up to trees especially and sharpen their claws. And not only does it sharpen the claws, but Debbie, like you said, it removes the old nail sheath, and most importantly, it strengthens the tendons in their paws. So that's very, very important, especially for these little ones. At one point, we almost saw them doing it a couple of times a day when we were sitting with it as they were climbing up trees. They absolutely love to do that. And I'm sure it must feel quite nice, especially for the youngsters too. Like a big stretch first thing in the morning. Oh, and I'm sure you can hear all the flies that are surrounding us. So I am covering up my face because I know where they've been sitting. They've been on that lion feces and they've been on the buffalo carcass. So I do not want them anywhere near my mouth or in my nose or on my ears. Fast asleep. Now, I'm hoping that in a couple of minutes we're going to get a bit of action, but at the moment it's not really looking too promising. You can see they haven't really yawned or given us any signs of them waking up. So we'll just chat about a couple of other things. Now, Heather, you were wondering when will the lion cubs join the adults in hunting. Now, Heather, I don't know if you actually were watching, but I had the most incredible sighting. It was probably about a month ago. It was right in front, or near the dam cam, actually, just behind it. And the lionesses had caught a young buffalo out in the open. And, well, the adults were nowhere to be seen. We just missed it, though. But the little one was still alive. And it was the most incredible sighting I've seen of these lions, because the lionesses just sat close by. And they allowed the young cubs to come across and jump on the young buffalo calf's back and actually practice some of the maneuvers that they normally practice on themselves. So that was really amazing to see and different. I've never seen anything like that. You normally see it with cheetah, where the adults will bring back animals that they haven't quite killed properly to teach their young, and I have seen it with leopards too, but I've never seen it with lions. So that was a really interesting experience. However, normally, of course, there we go, the little claws coming out. Did you see that? Normally, the little cubs will start to join in at about 1.5 years. They'll start to go on the hunts, but they'll really just sit back and observe. And I always say this, but unfortunately, it's tougher and tougher for the adults, and their success rate drops even lower because these little cubs get so excited and eager, and they'll sort of run towards the animal that perhaps the lionesses and the big male lions have been stalking for ages, and completely ruin the hunt because they got too excited and ran too early. And that's probably my next thing now, is I love to see the cubs when they're little, and I mean, I don't think anybody doesn't enjoy tiny little lion cubs. But the next thing that I'm looking forward to is watching these cubs get to 1.5 years and start going out on the hunts, because it is hysterical. You can actually almost see the frustration in the adult lionesses' faces, sort of just how annoyed they get when the little ones dash on in. Like I said, they get too excited and often ruin the hunts. But the look of eagerness on the little cubs is just absolutely priceless. And they just think that they're doing a sterling job as well. And that's what's going to happen now in summer, is because it's so much hotter now, we're not going to see them as active and feeding on the carcasses as early. I think they're going to save it until as it gets a little bit cooler. Well, let's see what this lioness does now. No, just turning over and plonking back down. But I suspect that they will only get moving a little bit later. All wriggling around. You can see there's definitely something that's bothering them, whether it's the flies or biting ants. It could be anything, really. I'm annoyed with just the flies. So if I was a lion, I don't think, or any animal, I don't think I'd sit still ever. I'd just be moving around, swatting, kicking, biting, doing all the things to try and get rid of all the little parasites. Now, at the moment, even though these cats look very flat and sleepy, don't be fooled by that. And I know that Sandeep was wondering if lions mainly hunt during the day or at night. Now, Sandeep, it's a little bit more than that. Lions are like leopards, of course, and the other cats. They're opportunistic feeders. So what that means is that they take any opportunity that they can get to try and catch something, whether they're unsuccessful or successful or not. That doesn't really matter, but they will make an attempt. So even though they're fast asleep here and they have got a kill, if something like a warthog or another buffalo were to come walking through here, sort of unaware of these sleepy cats, they'd probably get up and try and have a go. And it doesn't matter that it's so hot either. So ideally, they would hunt on a night where there's no stars or moon and thick cloud cover, because they have the upper hand. They're able to see very, very well at night. I was reading the other day that lions are able to see in light 1/6 of that of a human needs to see in the evenings at night. So how crazy is that? So that's how little light these cats need to be able to move around and hunt successfully, is 1/6 of the light that we as humans need to see when it is dark. I thought that was absolutely incredible. So yeah, so they can hunt really at any time of the day. And it depends on sort of the area as well. Out here, the lions, it's quite easy for them to hunt during the day because there's lots of shrubs and things and tall grass at the moment for them to hide behind. But it can get quite difficult, I think, if you've only got massive open plains with very short grass. Perhaps you're experiencing a little bit of a drought. Then it would be really tough, and you'd probably have to try and hunt a little bit later in the day when you have got the cover of darkness, especially if you're a male lion. Because if you're just hunting in short grass during the day, you're not going to be able to conceal yourself very well, and everything from a mile away will spot you and alert the rest of the animals of your presence. I reckon, though, that these Nkuhumas are probably going to rest here for most of the afternoon. So I think what we're going to do is we're actually going to go and have a scratch around and see if we can't maybe find some elephants. That was something that I was really hoping to see today. And if we hear of these lions getting active or moving around at all, well, then we'll certainly come and pop back past. But it was lovely for them just to poke their heads out and say hello. I know you've all missed them just as much as I have. But maybe we see them again a little bit later, and I'm sure we'll follow up on them again in the morning. But I think that Evia is probably missing all of you. I've been hogging you with the lions. So let's go back across and see how his afternoon walk is treating.